All right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're getting started just a couple minutes late. I'm so sorry about that. My name is Kayla. I'm the project manager here at Latino Tax Pro. And today I wanted to talk about operating your tax school during a pandemic. So essentially, we are going to be learning how to take our live training that you would give in the classroom normally, and we're going to show you how to simply put it on a virtual platform. So we're virtualizing your tax school and training center. Excuse me. So currently, with our instructor program, it's a hybrid system where we have our instructor classroom live training that's supplemented by the student self-study online, where the student completes all their homework, review questions, quizzes, finals, all that good stuff. So in order to accommodate for the coronavirus and all these social distancing measures that are currently in place, we want to make sure you and your students are safe and healthy. And so we want to show you how to move your in-class training online. And all that takes is turning it virtual through a video conferencing provider. The nice thing about this is the only tweak you have to do to your tax school. Since the student does the self-study online, the bulk of their work online anyway, it's not really affecting that part of the program, which is awesome. And I'm sure many of you have become familiar with video conferencing clients already. Zoom is a big provider that's getting a lot of attention right now. And you've probably been in a Zoom meeting yourself. There are actually several providers to choose from. Zoom is not the be-all, end-all, but it is the program that we here at Latino Tax Pro use for our webinars and even our internal meetings. So Zoom is a great option. There's a free basic version that you can get. You can sign up and get it immediately. But with the free basic version, you are limited to a meeting time of only 40 minutes if you have more than 3 attendees in the meeting. So obviously, hopefully you'll have more than 2 students in your class. So you might want to bump up to the pro package, which I believe is maybe $12, $13 a month. It's a very minimal cost. It's very economical. And you can even search the various other providers. You can look up Google Meet. I was doing some research today and it was formerly Google Hangouts. They're updating it, and I believe there's a free option in there too. So if you are familiar with the Google Suite or are a Google person, you might want to check out Google Meet. There's also a provider called GoToMeeting. Skype is a video conferencing provider. And just recently, I think in the last week or so, Facebook is launching their own essentially rival to Zoom. They're calling it Facebook Messenger Rooms. And I'd have to double check. I'm pretty sure it's free. And what I was reading, it said the attendees don't have to have a Facebook account. So it's just a way to access that feature, but you don't have to have an account, which is pretty cool because it seems like everybody has a Facebook, but not everyone. So these are just a few. If you have a provider already that you like, go with that one, whatever meets your needs. These are just a few I wanted to offer. So through the video conferencing provider, you can replicate your in-class instruction. So typically when you hold your class meetings, the students come and you project your PowerPoints, your lesson plans up on the board and go through your lesson that way. Speaking from experience, giving personal anecdotes, reading from following the objectives for that chapter. So instead of having the student sitting in front of you looking at the projector in your room, through your video conferencing, you can share your screen of your computer that is displaying the PowerPoints. And so essentially you're projecting your lessons through Zoom, and your students can see the objectives, the notes, and then you can do your lecture or a more conversational style. If you'd like to, you can enable your camera. And you know what? I think, oh no, you can see me. Perfect. So just like you can see me in the little tiny corner of your screen, you can enable your camera and your students can see you as well. I recommend turning your camera on because it keeps your students or who's ever viewing more engaged, and it's more personal. But it's your choice. You can enable your camera or not. You can take questions and explain concepts utilizing the chat feature through a video conferencing client. I'm going to be referencing Zoom a lot just because that's what we use here at LTP. But again, it could be any provider and they all have very similar functions. So you can get your questions submitted through chat, and also additionally, that chat box, students can chat with each other, students can chat in the whole group, and you can even, if they submit their question through the chat, you can speak to the answer, or if it's something, a more difficult scenario that the student is trying to understand, you can actually go through your controls and unmute that student and then allow them to explain, the nature of their question or the issue, and then get further clarification and then answer their question that way. In a little bit, I'm going to talk about etiquette and how you will most likely want to mute all your students coming into the class. But we'll talk about that in a moment. And then finally, there's also a whiteboard tool that you can utilize during your instruction so that you can write out scenarios, sketch out any like math equations or important concepts to help supplement your lesson. So instead of having a physical board that you can write on to help kind of illustrate your points, you have that whiteboard function through the video conferencing client itself. So it's pretty straightforward setting up a virtual class meeting. When you're determining the plans for your TAC school for this season, as you're deciding how often you want to meet and what days you want to meet, it's part of the normal planning process. Instead of just sticking it into your syllabus, you'll also go ahead and schedule those meetings through your video conferencing provider. So all you need to do is input the dates and the times. Again, it's important for you to determine how long you want your class sessions to be, whether you want them to be, 2 hours, 3 hours can be a bit rough, completely over video, but if necessary, it can be done. I suggest maybe taking short breaks as you go through it to keep everybody energized and awake. But yeah, think about the duration, how long you want your class meeting times to be, and how often you want them, whether two days a week or 3 days a week. And once you decide that, you can just simply set it up, schedule your virtual meetings, like I just said, sorry. And then the most important thing, after you schedule all those class meetings, you must make sure to send the invitation link to your students. The nice thing about Zoom is your students don't necessarily have to have a Zoom account. If you email them the virtual meeting invitation, it sends them a link with all the pertinent information, the date and the time of the meeting. And all they do is simply click the link to open the meeting in their internet browser. So that's a way to get access. And also, it's super important to familiarize yourself with the program. You don't want to schedule and send all the invites like the day before you start your tax school. You want to back up and really plan this out and get familiar with how to use the equipment, because the more familiar and comfortable you are on Zoom or Google Hangouts or whatever it may be, the easier it will be for you to teach, and the easier it will be for your students to follow along and be more successful in class. So after you become proficient, at least in the program, I even suggest you do a practice meeting, maybe with a family member or a friend, just so you can really get a feel for an actual meeting and what it looks like when a student joins the class, what it sounds like, how you mute or unmute, how you can control those functions for your students, how you share your screen, all those features. You want to look at those and play around with them yourself so you get comfortable. And then after you're comfortable, after you get a feel for it, you're pretty much ready to start your tax school virtually. So I would like to show you just exactly how to schedule your meeting. But unfortunately, as I said earlier, here at LTP, we use Zoom. So currently I am on a Zoom meeting right now. So I'm having difficulty accessing Zoom to start a new meeting. It's a little too meta for the program. So I won't be able to show you the specifics just right now. I can definitely come to you guys again and give you the specifics at a later date. But also there are tons of tutorial videos and helpful videos, even through the provider itself. Zoom has a treasure trove of resource articles and videos that are quick and easy, where you can learn all the different functions. There's even, again, specific to Zoom, but I'm sure general to all video clients, there's a quick start guide that gives you the kind of main features so you can familiarize yourself that way. I definitely recommend doing that. And I'm sorry, I can't literally show you right now. So I also wanted to mention a little bit of video conferencing etiquette. How many of you guys have attended a meeting, Zoom meeting, whatever, and people don't seem to know that their microphones are not muted? You could hear all the background noise, the cats screaming, the kids running around, whatever it is. So you really want to make sure that you limit those distractions around you. As the instructor, I'm sure you'll have a quiet environment, but you'll be having many students. So rather than giving your student the option to come in with their microphone unmuted or muted, in the settings, when you schedule your meetings, you can make it default so that when the student enters your meeting, they're automatically muted, so that it cuts down on all those outside distractions and noises. And also, it's important to check your own microphone from time to time, as I will do right now. Yes, I'm not muted. You never know, there might be something you have to check on and you mute it for a second, but if you are muted, I'm sure your students will quickly alert you to unmute. So in addition to that mute function, it's important to be on time, start the class punctually. And before you start the class, make sure everything's working. Start the class, maybe start the meeting maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes before it's scheduled to start, so that you can test everything out, make sure all your lessons are displaying, make sure all the materials are just so. Wear work appropriate clothing, at least from the waist up. And also just a couple of tips and tricks. It's important to kind of frame yourself correctly in the camera. You don't want to be completely off screen and conduct your entire class like this. That wouldn't be fun. Also have the right light. I got a little bright light in my face here, but it's important to have the light shining in front of you at your face so that your student can clearly see how beautiful or handsome you are. And because if you have a light source coming from the back, it's going to put your face in shadow, and it's going to be hard for your students to see who they're looking at. So frame yourself correctly, have some adequate lighting. If you don't have a window, windows are great for natural lighting. If you don't have a window, throw a lamp in there. They also sell little ring lights that you can attach to your laptop or put on a little tripod. There's all kinds of stuff on Amazon, Target. Also, looking into the camera, it might be a little awkward at first. You're not conversing and speaking directly to a person, but when you're looking into the camera, it's as if the students are looking into your eyes. So you can make that connection that way. Also, make sure your cell phone or whatever device you have is turned silent so that when you are lecturing, you don't get distracted by those noises and notifications. And as I said earlier, it says mute the mic when you're not talking, but as the instructor, I'm sure you're going to do most of the speaking. So you're probably going to be unmuted most of the time. And I recommend that your students are muted by default. So essentially, in summary, the takeaways for today, in order to virtualize your tax training center or your tax school, you just need to download a video conferencing provider. It can be free or low cost. It's not a big expense, which is fantastic. Familiarize yourself with the program. Make sure you poke around and get familiar with the tools and the features before you start conducting your class. Check out your quick start guide or any other blogs or resource articles to help you get familiar if something's a little challenging for you. Make sure you schedule your class meetings. And then once you've scheduled the meetings, make sure to grab that invitation link. And when you have your roster of students, you'll have all their contact information, including their emails. So you'll want to email all your students that invitation link so they can attend class. And then before your tax school officially starts, conduct a couple of practice meetings with your family or friends or colleagues so you can really get it under your belt and be comfortable and confident when you begin your virtual tax school. So thank you so much. Again, I wanted to show you just how to do it on Zoom, but I need to do a little bit of tweaking in order to bring that to you guys. So I will be conducting more webinars in the near future. I will stay tuned to our Facebook or our social media at Latino Tax Pro, and we'll be able to get you more information on how to specifically do that. Please, if you have any questions or want any additional information, you can call or even text us at 866-936-2587. Or you can even send us an email at info@latinotaxpro.org. If you're watching us on Facebook, do me a favor, hit like so I know you're there. But if you're not on Facebook, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. Stay up to date with the latest information on COVID-19 and taxes, and I'll be seeing you soon. Again, my name's Kayla. Thank you so much for attending. Have a wonderful day.